Hello, Pisces. Welcome to your reading for October 19th through 25th. We're going to open up the energy of the reading today with your lizard spirit. This one says, dream the world into being. How are we doing on our dreams? You know, do we have dreams? Do we know what they are? Yeah. This is a good week for kind of reconfirming those dreams and making sure that we are giving them the attention that they need. Dream the world into being. That lizard spirit. I love it. We have the Page of Swords. Okay, maybe we're just getting started on a dream, you know. We have a Queen of Swords. Okay, all right. We got the World. There we go. The full manifestation, the biggest picture we could conjure of our dream. Yeah. The Devil card. Okay, this might be, well, a couple things. The Devil is not, everybody sees the Devil card and says, uh-oh, the Devil is a good card. It can be. It's the engine of the car, right? It's either, and like any good engine, doesn't care where it's going, just long as it's being used, you know? And so that Devil card represents our energy that is either being misplaced or being properly channeled into manifesting power, you know, into driving up the mountain. Have we been driving in the wrong direction? Have we been distracted by other things? Has our energy been wrapped up into things that haven't been manifesting our dreams, you know? Or have we been just kind of chugging along with perseverance going up the hill? Yeah. Page of Wands, 9 of Wands, you got a King of Cups, you got the Fool. We've got a High Priestess and a Hierophant. Very nice. Lots of good major arcana cards today. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We'll set it right here with our little Tibetan prayer wheel right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments down beneath the video. Now, let's look around the room. We do have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 majors. We've got fire, a little bit of water. We've got some air. Don't have any earth cards yet, right? I mean, Hierophant, sort of earthy, Taurus, right? The Devil card, sort of earthy, Capricorn, okay? And of course, the World is an earth energy. It's also Saturn. And so we do have some implication of the earth, and I think that really is about, like, how are we making our dreams real? How is the world now coming into being for you? Dream the world, literally the world, into being. You have the Fool in the world. You have the Alpha and the Omega, for one thing, okay? So how are we dreaming the world into being? This world. And this is down here beneath the surface. This is inside of you. This is your personal reality. Okay? Well, we're going to start with the Page of Swords. And this is curiosity, okay? A good week for asking questions. A good week for asking ourselves that question. Am I dreaming my dream? Am I working toward manifesting it? Am I dreaming my world into being? Do I know what those dreams are? And kind of how am I doing in that regard? So a good week for that self-assessment. A good week for just being curious, asking questions, and learning new skills, new information, subject, things that we're studying. Let's be a student. And let's focus on studying those things that are going to help us to bring our dream into reality. Okay? So the question then with the Devil card is, where have I been giving my attention to things that aren't helping me with my dream? Just kind of useless distractions. When I could be using that time to study like a new skill or a new technique or some subject that's going to have some bearing on what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay? Communicate very clearly this week. Avoid gossip. avoid impulsive posting, avoid anything that's going to just kind of take time and attention away from your dream. Basically, I mean, that's a very clear message there, right? Also, read the fine print on stuff. Be careful of what you're signing up for, okay? Make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into and how it relates directly or indirectly to the world you're trying to create. Read the fine print before signing or agreeing to anything. Study something new. I feel like this week your mind really is going to want stimulation. Stimulate it in some way that's going to go take a class, a seminar, find a cool podcast, or maybe your favorite YouTube tarot reader that's going to help you get motivated for your dream or give you a new angle or new insight or give you a new good idea to try, okay? Not just like reality TV. Now, nothing against reality TV. I love reality TV. But at a certain time and place, sometimes it's appropriate. Yeah, you're trying to unwind, you've had a very stressful week or something, then yeah, go indulge by all means. But this card is not that kind of curiosity. This card is saying, let's study and investigate things that are going to help us. Let's be the student, and the student is trying to learn. Now, it's kind of like you're the student, right? And you can learn about any subject in the world. You don't got that kind of time, though, Pisces. You got to be selective. You got to pick and choose. Like, what did Swami Vivekananda say? That we need to be very discriminating in what we consume, as what our minds consume. Okay, be very discriminating. Because we are finite beings who are living a very short time on this planet, at least in this incarnation. And so we got to be very picky about what we read, what we study, what we learn about. Okay, and right now is a week of kind of assessing that. What am I involved with? That maybe it's like, it's taken up too much of my time. Do we need to end some things? Okay. A good week for learning and being aware of where your mental attention is going and how we might need to make some changes, okay? And that brings us to our Queen of Swords. Saying what needs to be said. I should get a third camera, shouldn't I? That way I don't have to keep reaching forward like this and you still can't see it very well. Let me know in the comments if you can see the cards as I'm holding them up and if it's clear enough for you, okay? Say what needs to be said. Speak clearly, speak calmly this week. Ask the questions. Ask yourself the questions with that Page of Swords and then be very clear about what you're noticing, okay? You may need to set some emotional boundaries with other people and with yourself. Okay? It could be that we have a dream, and the Queen of Swords is kind of defending that dream against unnecessary entanglements, unnecessary wastes of mental energy. How have you been spending your time and your attention? Your mental energy, where has it been going? Use discernment, okay, before signing up for anything. Declutter your thoughts and your surroundings so that you can regain focus on your dream. Decluttering your thoughts, which means like, I don't have to have my head full of all this nonsense. I need to clear it away and only fill my head with those things that are going to help me manifest this dream. Okay, so maybe it is like this week, turning off the reality TV, and instead I'm going to read that book that's going to help me either learn like the finances or learn about manifestation or learn about this art form or this particular technique, or I'm going to watch a class, I'm going to watch a seminar, I'm going to watch a lecture on YouTube or something like this that's going to be more educational. You know what I mean? And I hate to be that kind of a person right now, but I'm just reading the cards, you know? We have just a little bit of water. Yeah, it's mostly these major arcana cards, and then we've got the fire, a little bit of water, okay? We got the air cards. So it's not, you know, it's not really a week for like just doing things that are fun and kind of even pointless. I think it's really about pick and choose your activities very carefully, okay? We got to be independent here. You've got to make your own decisions. No one's going to make these decisions for you. Everybody and everything out there wants your time. Every channel on YouTube wants you to go watch it. You know, that we all do. That's the point, right? We want you to watch the video. You have to be very selective. I'm not trying to talk myself out of a viewer, but you have to be discerning about where you're putting your attention this week. Okay. Because a lot of people want it, not just YouTube, but everything. Things on TV. There's even TVs at the gas stations now, you know? Everything, everywhere you go, the world is vying for your attention. And this is the card that's saying, I got to let wisdom guide my choices. I've got to be independent. I've got to be honest. I need to protect my mental space so I can focus on manifesting my dream. We've got to be discerning. That's it. Okay. The world card that we have, this kind of represents the fulfillment of your dream. I think a lot of you are probably very close to seeing some real progress in whatever you're doing in your life. It doesn't really matter what that is. What matters is how you're doing it and why you're doing it. Okay, everybody has a different world card. This energy is very universal, but it's so absolutely unique and particular. You have a personal reality. You have a personal reality. You have a personal reality. We all do. And it consists of, you know, the phenomena that we experience, the people, places, and things that are around us, our pets, our plants, our people. It contains our feelings and our thoughts, our behaviors, and the behaviors of others and how we interpret the data, the energy coming in. We all have a chance to create our own world. This is a card of celebrating a milestone or a completion of some segment of that dream, some part of that. So I think that this is like recognizing how much you have been dreaming your world into being, and look at the progress that you've already made. Okay? Realizing that you've earned this. The way your world looks right now, you did that. You know? This is a card of also kind of taking a breath before rushing into something new, and being discerning and asking the right questions. Between these two cards, I feel like you're really vetting something. Some of you are really like considering engaging something or starting something or getting involved with something or someone, but you're going to ask a bunch of questions first before you're interviewing something, you know, before you sort of accept it into your life. And that is going to be a very prominent part of your week, okay? So take that time, use that air energy before you start something new. It's a good week for kind of wrapping up projects that you've had kind of open-ended. It's kind of like, let's put the finishing touches on some things, maybe around the house or just in your world, around in your surroundings, in your environment. Are there things that are kind of left undone? Little tasks, little projects. I feel like maybe you might have like a few books that you haven't quite finished them yet, or a few packages that you haven't opened up yet, and like you recycled the cardboard and like put the things away or whatever. There might be some of those little things that are still needing to be finished, like kind of lingering, you know. It's a good week to plan a trip, an event, or some kind of a change that may symbolize like a recommitment to that dream, okay? Something maybe symbolic or like an event or literally like a trip or something like that, right? That's going to like kind of kick off a new cycle. That's saying, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get back to it. That's like me with meditation. It's like even me with studying, reading. I go through these cycles where I'm meditating every single day and it's really intense, and then I maybe will slack off on it a little bit, and I'll start getting kind of distracted by other things, and then that cycle needs to be started again. Okay, and in the past, what I would usually do is shave my head. I'm resisting doing that. It's been a few years since I've shaved my head now. As you can tell, my hair is like, probably down to here. But that's kind of the symbol. I'm not saying you should shave your head, though, Pisces. No, don't do that. But it's that kind of thing, like, we're kicking off the new season of our lives, And, and even with like studying and things like that too, it's just kind of like, okay, this is like, I'm going to go buy a new book. And I'm going to go to I like to go to the discount bookstores and look for the used books, like half-price books or something, And buying that new book, that kind of symbolizes, okay, I'm getting back to intentional study rather than like fiction or reading for pleasure or like watching TV at night. You know what I mean? Getting back to like, okay, I'm gonna study now. I'm getting back into that season. And it's coming close for me now, right? I just got through watching The Expanse. I watched a few episodes of Alone. I was reading some fiction, some sci-fi books. Now it's kind of like, man, it's time to get back to just doing the good study. And that usually happens for me in the late fall, winter type of season. But anyway, definitely use this card. Use this week to acknowledge your progress. And say, I have been manifesting my dream, and this is a season where I need to just kind of refocus my energy on that. Okay? Acknowledge your progress. Maybe some of you are leaning into a teaching kind of thing or like a mentorship. Because between this and the Hierophant, I feel like there's some knowledge that you're sharing. Because it kind of like when you're able to teach somebody else what you think you know, it really like solidifies it, It's like you don't really know something until you're able to explain it to somebody else. Or like explain it to like a 5-year-old. I have a 5-year-old daughter. When I talk to my daughter, I realize I don't know anything. Like I'm really like not smart, So I realized that, okay, I've got to find a way to say things in a way that is just simple and to the point and direct. Because sometimes I'll talk to my daughter like I do here on the channel, and she's just like, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. Because I'll go into too many metaphors or examples, too many like references that she's 5. She doesn't know all those things yet. She hasn't seen the Seinfeld shows or whatever that I reference, or the books or the philosophical, sophisticated subjects that I talk about. I joke. That was a joke. And so I think that a lot of you are sort of looking for a way to do that. And it might just be like, what I used to do was I'd read a book, and then I'd write just a little couple of one sheet of paper, write down what the book was about, do a little book report. That's why we did book reports back in the day, not to just prove that we read it so we can get the credit on our, in school, but because it helps us to solidify that knowledge. Okay, and so it might be a good time for you to try something like that. Share your knowledge, or write it down, or find a way to make something like concrete. Okay, and I think that's a very good card for you. That is the manifestation of your dream, and we're doing it. You're doing it even if you don't realize you're doing it. Okay, even if you feel like you've been rather distracted lately, that's okay. You've still been manifesting your dream. It's maybe been happening more behind the scenes. But the Devil card here, first of all, notice where you're overdoing things. Whether it's the phone, you're spending, maybe we've sort of been overdoing the negativity, or like sugar, or like too much TV, Set a limit for things like that and say, okay, I can still watch reality TV. We watched Love After Lockup last night. I can still watch shows like that, but I have to give myself a limit. It's like, okay, I can watch maybe, half an hour, but I need sleep, I need good rest, I need to read a book, I need to think, I need to study, I need to meditate, I need to write. Because those are the things that are going to manifest my dream. Watching reality TV, it's not directly manifesting my dream, but it's helping me unwind a little bit. You know what I mean? So there is light and shadow in the Devil card. Don't shame yourself by any means, Nothing wrong with the things that we're doing, but it's just kind of, how we're giving our energy to things. Okay? Let's be aware. Let's ask the question so we can see. Let's replace, if there are any kind of harmful habits that we have, things that we are overdoing, let's temper that. Let's dial that back a little bit, replace it with something that's nourishing. But let's be honest about what we're kind of doing with our lives, what we're doing with our time, effort, energy, money, and space. Let's be honest about what we feel might be like tempting us or influencing us too much. And let's start saying no to some things that might be draining us. Okay? Freedom there, right? Freedom from that devil energy. And let's start using that engine of the car to drive toward our dreams, rather than we're just joyriding, doing donuts in the parking lot. We're not actually getting to the destination. You can still do the donuts in the parking lots, just maybe not so much. Also make progress toward your dream. Yeah. So it's kind of about the ratio of that. But as the engine of the car, this is that perseverance, that motivation. And I think that you have the strength, you have the endurance to manifest your dream. Sometimes that power that we have gets trapped and locked up in other habits or behaviors that, it's like I start getting stuck on like TV, or eating the ice cream, or like watching the reality TV or something, or reading the sci-fi books, And those things are good. I love ice cream, I love TV, I love sci-fi books. But there comes a point where we have to say, okay, I need to redirect some of my devil energy, to the things that are going to directly lead to my growth or well-being or the health or whatever your dreams are. Health and well-being, financial goals. Okay. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. So a little bit of freedom there to feel like we're able to drive the car. If that devil card is the engine, who's behind the wheel? Okay. Well, we've got to be behind. Spirit's got to be behind the wheel, really. Let's talk about the Page of Wands, because the Page of Wands is kind of curious about new things. Has this explorer kind of vibe to it, right? So this might be a week of, a lot of curiosity. A lot of this kind of looks like an explorer ready to go out on an expedition. Maybe you should take a short trip, think about a new hobby, try something new, study something that maybe at first it may feel kind of fun, it may feel exciting. Use your discernment of your Page and your Queen of Swords to decide if this is something worth committing to. Okay, stay open to messages and opportunities that may come from unexpected places. Okay, maybe this is kind of a renewed enthusiasm to those daily tasks and habits that are going to manifest the dream. This is kind of like us getting our aspiration back for our dream. Okay, it's me, like, again, when I kind of shave my head and I'm ready to get back to studying and meditating every day as my sort of central focus, there's like this renewed enthusiasm when I go to the store and I buy that book, whatever it is, like $1, like $2.99, some, just whatever it might be, a philosophy book, a religious text or something like this, a book on tarot maybe. And I'll get it, and that feels so exciting, and my enthusiasm is through the roof. Now I can't wait to like go home and make a nice cup of hot chai tea and start reading this book and then meditating, and it puts you back in the mood, puts you back in the mindset. Okay? And so I think that's kind of that's our Page of Wands, how we can re-inspire ourselves. And also, this is a good card for expressing yourself creatively without worrying about your skill level. Okay? A good week for staying flexible, beginning things, and then also with the World card, making sure that we don't leave everything unfinished. So it could be that, like right now in your life, you need to wrap up some lingering projects so that you can feel really good and really inspired about starting new ones. Okay? And this is all geared toward, again, your lizard spirit, right? Dreaming your world into being. Manifesting the dream into the world. Yeah. Excitement might be a very might be a very good teacher right now, like kind of noticing what gets us enthused, what gets us motivated. Yeah, looking for that new inspiration to continue on this journey. Now the 9 of Wands here, showing that you might be very close to a finish line. Definitely don't give up on your dream, Pisces. I think you're very close. Protect your progress from unnecessary distractions, kind of looking at you, Devil card. Rest when you need to, but be discerning. Make your decisions wisely. Stay determined. Okay? Don't let fatigue cloud your judgment. So rest when you need to. Simplify things so that you don't burn out. Okay? And again, kind of a card that's saying we need to finish something. Right? Even the World card. It's kind of like we need to wrap up something that's been lingering so that we can be inspired to start the new thing. Okay? And it may be that we just kind of need to close out the old cycle so we can start the new one. And in my case, it's not so much that I need to finish the reality TV shows before I can then shave my head and start meditating again. No, it's just kind of saying like spiritually or just energetically, I need to say, okay, maybe it's a symbolic way or the ritual of me going to the bookstore and buying that used book that I'm then very excited to go home and start reading. That may be the symbolic closure of the old cycle so that we're ready now and we're awake and we're vibrant and we're revitalized for this new cycle. Okay? And the 9 is sort of implying that too. Okay? So, this is kind of the implication that we need to cross the finish line. We need to put an end to an old cycle and so we can begin that new inspired, I feel like it's kind of a recommitment to the dream that we're trying to dream. We're trying to bring it into reality. Let's quickly do one manifestation oracle card, and then we'll continue on with our King of Cups. The Cross of Faith. Balance effort with trust and intention with surrender. It says, I make my dreams real. Balance. Yep. Balance effort with trust, intention with surrender. Balancing reality TV with studying the tarot or studying the philosophical texts or whatever, Finding a little bit better balance. And balance here doesn't mean 50-50. It doesn't mean, okay, I got an hour in my day, 30 minutes will be reality TV, 30 minutes will be, reading a spiritual book. It doesn't have to be that. Balance doesn't mean exactly 50-50. It could be balance, could be that, hey, I just spent the last 6 months watching reality TV. I need to just get rid of the TV and just read the spiritual texts for a few months and really immerse myself in that. Okay, so it could just be the pendulum swings the other way. Yeah. Anyway, I make my dreams real through balance. Yeah. And I think we're kind of restoring a bit of balance in our lives now. You're staying emotionally steady with the King of Cups. This is a card that's saying we want to respond to life. We don't want to react to life. This is somebody that's trying to maintain their clarity when they're in a very emotional world. It's a bubble in an ocean, right? And that bubble in that ocean, the ocean is that emotional pressure trying to get you to respond, or I should say, react to those emotions when you're trying to maintain clarity and truth, okay? So in your life this week, lead with calmness, especially when other people feel overwhelmed or when you're starting to feel overwhelmed. Try to stay centered and stay calm, okay? You have the ability to support other people right now without taking on their weight. I think you're very much able to resist the emotional pressure around you. In other words, it's tempting to eat the ice cream. It's tempting to watch the reality TV. You're able to maintain clarity and truth, despite all those tempting desires everywhere in the world, And there's no shame, there's no judgment, there's nothing wrong with all those things. I love reality TV. But we have to be discerning, and we have to be able to make our choices. Yeah. We've got to make those choices with clarity. And when we do, with the Queen, even the Queen of Swords, right, is saying we have to be discerning, and we have to have boundaries, and we have to be very, very direct with those boundaries. Okay. The Queen of Swords is water and air. The King of Cups is air and water. So it's really similar cards. You know, this is saying, how do we stay focused on our dream when there's all this sort of thought energy around, all this intellectual energy around, different opinions and all that thing. And the King of Cups is saying, how do we maintain our inner truth when there's all this emotional energy around? So this is a molecule of water in the hostile air. This is a bubble of truth in hostile emotional waters. Okay. But both cards are kind of talking about like balancing your feeling and your logic when you're making choices. Be very clear, and don't just react to life, or don't succumb to the pressures of life, peer pressure, society, and that kind of stuff, right? Make decisions based on your own truth. Use wisdom, not impulse. Okay? And also, be emotionally honest. Focus on emotional maturity, and hold fast to your truth. You're holding your cup firmly, you're holding your sword firmly. You know what you think, you know what you feel, and I think that you're resisting, well, the devil in a way, resisting all that temptation that's out there, and instead making your dreams real. Okay, focusing on those things that are going to really matter in your life right now. And I think being honest about your feelings about things is going to really help you as well. Now, we've got the Fool here too. The Fool is this card that's saying, let's try something new. And in a way, it's kind of like, the world is kind of the Fool's journey, right? The Fool and the world, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So it's kind of like the Fool has completed one circuit and is ready to go again, is ready to start a new cycle or a new season. And I think that's exactly what it is. It's kind of like a lot of you are feeling this kind of refresh or reset energy. And again, it's kind of symbolized symbolically as a metaphor, not literally for you. I shaved my head, and that means it's a new season now for me. Now, again, I haven't done that in a while. But this is, the beginning of a new season. So you're going to see shifts in your routine. You're going to be making small changes. You might be trying something new, like, in a kind of in a larger way. Okay. A good week to say yes to an opportunity that feels kind of fresh, feels exciting, and again, not feeling as if you have to commit to it for the long term. Okay, but sort of in a way testing the waters a little bit, Do something symbolic to reset your energy. It could be just taking like a different route home, or a different route through your neighborhood. It could be changing your outfit, shaving your head, right? Or even some kind of a social plan, or some kind of an event or an outing, like I say, going and buying that used book. Don't wait for perfect timing, okay? You can close the old cycle anytime you want. That's what people sometimes get confused about. They think we have to wait for the planets, we have to wait for the seasons. No. You can close out your old season anytime you want. Okay, it's up to you. You need to use your clarity, your wisdom, and your discernment. Spend time this week with people that make you feel inspired to manifest your dream. Kind of, again, going with what I said, watch the podcast, watch the show, watch those YouTube videos, spend time with people out in the world that are going to motivate you and inspire you to continue manifesting your dream. Part of that, this energy reset or beginning the new cycle, may involve like cleaning or reorganizing some space in your house. Okay? Like for me, the shaving of the head. It's kind of it's a cleansing, it's shedding the old stuff, and that sort of thing. So it may just be kind of cleaning out space in your house and getting ready, like that room that is kind of got piled up with stuff. Maybe you clean that out and now it's become your meditation room again. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. And this is going to be a really good week for that energy. You also have your High Priestess, which is literally saying schedule some time to meditate. Schedule some quiet time so that your intuition can speak, so we can connect with that intuition. Write down your dreams. Those are going to be clues about your journey. Sometimes we just need to turn off the TV and just sit in silence, you know. If there's any kind of uncertainty about things right now in your life, what you need to do is delay any major decisions until you feel a little bit more clear, okay? Delay major decisions until clarity comes. Observe people instead of reacting. Give yourself pause so that you can decide how you wish to respond to life. Okay? Don't just react. Pause so that you know what to say and know how to behave, know what to respond. It's also implied here that you need to protect your privacy a little bit. Kind of like not everybody deserves to know your plans or what you're up to. So it's almost like if you are just going to start a new cycle in your life, it's kind of like you don't need to tell everybody, because that just kind of invites like sabotage. Or I don't know, like people hear that you're trying to do something new, like I'm going to start manifesting my dreams. That's when somebody, for whatever reason, that's the way they're going to like tempt you with a lot of invitations. Oh, you sure you don't want to come out with us this weekend? You know, and it's kind of, they wouldn't have invited you otherwise. But now that they know that you're trying to actually focus on something and do something, that's when all the temptations are going to come. It's just the nature of the devil card. It's not your friends aren't doing it on purpose. It's just the way the energy works. Okay? So it's kind of like you keep your plans a little bit more private and secret, and there seems to be less temptations for you to break those plans, you know, or to alter those plans. A good week for meditating, stretching, resting, taking care of your body. Trust your intuition. Trust your gut, trust your body. Okay? Hierophant. Finally. Okay? Revisit those things that actually grounded you. To me, this is like your spiritual practice. Getting back to those, for me, this is like getting back to those philosophical texts, the religious texts, watching the podcast, the motivating, creative kind of inspirational documentaries, and, the educational material for you, right? Revisit what works for you, whether it's prayer or journaling, the routines, getting back to meditating, getting back to, receiving that wisdom from the universe. And, reconnecting with that work, reconnecting with the manifesting of your dream and what people, places, and things, what kind of community is out there for you that you can connect with, that's going to help you get back to doing this work, or kind of strengthening, refocusing on this work. This is also literally a card that's saying learn something practical. We've been watching, the devils, and we've been watching reality TV. The Hierophant is saying, like, I'm taking a course, I'm reading a book, I'm watching that podcast, and also sharing what you know. Because teaching is going to cement your understanding, just like the Page of Swords is the student, the Hierophant is the teacher. So some of you are going to need to do that in order to really solidify your understanding and your knowledge of something, okay? Realize that you do have a kind of tradition. It's kind of like, it's me shaving my head and buying the used book. That's symbolically me saying I'm getting back to kind of doing my meditation and all my spiritual work, and kind of, refocusing on that sort of routine, right? But don't be so reliant on that, because tradition can be a tool. It doesn't have to be a cage. Like, again, I haven't shaved my head in years, right? And it's not, that doesn't actually have any power. It's just a tool. We can have other tools. We don't have to just be caged in by that, okay? Because that would be too rigid of thinking there. The Hierophant is also advising that we create these rituals in our day that are going to help center our mind on what we're trying to manifest. That's it, very simple, okay? Make sure that we structure our day in a way that's going to be really good for that manifestation and set us up for the win, set us up for getting that dream built, you know? And it can be very simple. And it can be really us creating like, okay, I'm going to wake up at 6. For 6, for 10 minutes, I'm going to be in the bathroom. And then for 10 minutes, I'm going to drink the water and take my vitamins. And then I'm going to do then stretching for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to do this and this. And sort of structuring our day that way. Building a routine for ourselves. One that's workable. But also, on those days where that routine falls apart, something else happens, there's something unexpected, the routine is just a tool, okay? So don't be devastated when we get a tower moment and there's some unexpected thing that happens and I can't follow my routine. I used to be that way. And I know the video's getting long, but when I first started with meditation and my spiritual practice in my late teens, early 20s, I was very rigid. I would have to wake up exactly at 3:30 in the morning and take my shower and do my meditations and all that stuff. In the evening too. After work, I would go home to my little studio apartment where I lived by myself, and I would make a certain type of food, and I would then, I'd study for half an hour, then I would shower and I would meditate again, and it was a very regimented thing. And then when my family or my brother, my friend would call and say, hey, we're coming over, we're going to do this or that, I would get mad. And then if something happened in life where I couldn't meditate exactly at 3:30 in the morning or do the same dinner routine or the same evening meditation, I would get upset and frustrated because something broke my routine. It was a tower moment, nothing I could control. Yeah, a flat tire, I had to stay late at work, or if someone called me on the phone, or I had an appointment somewhere, a doctor's appointment or whatever. It would interrupt my routine. I'd get mad, I'd get frustrated, And that, I think, that's a little bit of that devil energy. It can be useful, okay? And I've made a lot of progress in those types of practices, but we have to be practical. We have to be open to those tower moments when something comes in unexpectedly, breaks my routine. Hey, okay, guess what? That just means fool energy, time for an adventure. I get to go to a dentist appointment today. Okay, well, you know what? And it doesn't have to break the whole routine to where then tomorrow I'm not going to do it. And then the next day I'm not going to do it. And the whole thing falls apart and pretty soon I quit meditating. No. We do the things we have to do. We respond to life the way we need to, and then we keep the consistent routine going anyway, the best we can, despite the dentist appointments and the flat tires, We can't let it break down the entire thing because then the devil's over here laughing, Anyway, you understand. Now, mystery card, I don't know what it's going to be. I want you to put a prediction in the comments. Let's see what we have. The Judgment card. Oh, yeah. See, this is the ending of a cycle and the beginning of the next one. Absolutely perfect. I should have predicted this. This is literally the decision that we can make anytime we want to end the old season, the old cycle, and start the new one. And it is a sort of a wake-up call, okay? This is kind of you reflecting on the last, typically I would say reflect on the last year. But I'm going to say reflect on the previous cycle or season for you. What no longer serves you? What no longer defines you? What are you ready to be done with? No shame, no judgment, forgive it all. It is what it is. That reality TV was great. It was fun. It's time for moving on, okay? It's time to grow a little bit further now, okay? It's a card that's saying maybe we need to reach out and perhaps reconcile something in our lives, kind of reconcile the books, finish the accounting, close any of the unfinished business, because we're about to move on, okay? Make decisions based on the dream that you're manifesting. Make decisions based on who you're becoming, not on who you were. Use your voice. Speak up, make good decisions. Step confidently into your next chapter, your next season, your next cycle. Absolutely. Yep. Now we're going to do an extended reading. Click on the join button. That's right down below. We're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We're going to do some oracle cards. We'll clarify love and money, and we'll do the yes/no coin. Pisces, I thank you, I love you, and we are all in this together.